On her husband's birthday, Nasley throws a surprise party and invites many of his old friends, some of whom he hasn't seen in years. One guest even shows up heavily pregnant, having flown in from the other side of the world to celebrate. Ferit is overwhelmed with joy. He pulls Nazli into the center of the dance floor, spinning her around as he thanks her again and again. The couple's happiness is radiant, so much so that it draws admiring glances from all around. Of course, not everyone's happy, like Ferit's ex-girlfriend Pelens, who can barely hide her jealousy. She steps in, cutting their dance short, and cheerfully wishes Ferit a happy birthday. Ferit's smile fades immediately. Nazli, unaware of their past, warmly welcomes Pelens and thanks her for coming. While Nazli is busy chatting with other guests, Ferit pulls Pelens aside and asks her to leave at once. Pelens looks hurt. She says she just wants a chance to explain what happened 7 years ago. But Ferit cuts her off sharply. What we had is long over. I'm married now to Nazli. We're happy, and I don't want to see you again. With that, he storms off. Surrounded by cheers and good wishes, Ferit takes Nazli's hand and kisses it gently.
Ne şanslıyım ki hayatıma sen iyi ki yanımdasın. Sen olmasaydın ne yapardım bile. Her şey için çok teşekkür.
Nazli's eyes shimmer with emotion, and the two share a kiss, unaware that Pelens is watching from afar, her jealousy quietly boiling over. She swears that she'll win him back. Later that night, back home, Ferit is still full of energy. He starts flirting with Nazli, whispering sweet words as he slowly walks toward her. Nazli, blushing, backs away until she's pinned against the wall by his arms. His rare display of fiery passion makes her nervous. With a shy smile, she dodges his kiss and says, I'm really tired today. I'll go make us some tea. Ferit gets the message and doesn't push her anymore. The next day, Ferit brings Nazli to a cozy cafe from his childhood, eager to share this little piece of his past with her. He opens up, telling her he had already forgiven her long ago. He just wasn't sure if what he felt was truly love, so he kept it to himself. This confession breaks down the last wall between them. Nasley finally lets go of her fears, affirming her love for him in return. Meanwhile, Haken reaches out to Pelens and offers to cooperate. It turns out that 7 years ago, Ferit and Pelens' relationship made Demet extremely jealous. So she drugged Pelens and staged a photo of her in bed with another man, fabricating an affair and destroying their relationship. Pelens is furious when she learns the truth from Haken. Hakan apologizes on his wife's behalf and offers to help Pelens win Ferit back. It would not only help Pelens, but also make Demet give up on Ferit and finally return to him. Pelens, now divorced and desperate to secure a wealthy man, agrees without hesitation. The next morning, Pelens finds Ferit and clarifies that she didn't cheat on him back then, but was set up by Demet. Demet loved you and wanted us to break up so that she could marry you. Here's the number of the guy she hired to spike my drink that night. You can ask him yourself. Because you didn't believe me back then, I had to terminate our baby. But don't worry, I don't need your apology. I just wanted you to know the truth, that I was never the one at fault. In fact, it's all a calculated lie, designed to fill him with guilt. He immediately storms into Demet's office and asks her if she deliberately framed Pelens 7 years ago. Cornered and emotional, Demet confesses everything, then lashes out, claiming Pelens never loved him, only his money. His past with Pelens was a mistake, and so is his relationship with Nazli. Ferit shakes his head in disgust. You're truly despicable. The words hit Demet like a slap. She's visibly shattered. In the afternoon, Pelens signs up for one of Nazli's baking classes, pretending to be just another curious student. But her real purpose is clear. She casually drops the bomb. She and Ferit used to be very close, only separated by a misunderstanding. Nazli quickly reads between the lines. Her smile fades. Her mood darkens. That evening, at dinner, she confronts Ferit directly. Is Pelens your ex? Why didn't you tell me? Ferit shrugs it off, saying it was all 7 years ago. He didn't tell her because he didn't want to make her feel uncomfortable. His indifference wounds her deeply. Pretending not to care, she says, We're just contract partners anyway. You really didn't have to tell me about your past. Without waiting for Ferit's attempts to stop her, she runs away. Ferit rushes after her and tries to explain to her about his ex. But as soon as he speaks, Nazli turns on the blender to drown out his voice. She is afraid he will say something she doesn't want to hear. Until bedtime, Nazli is still angry. But instead of comforting her, Ferit chooses to sit alone in the living room, drinking in silence. Nasley sees him there, and her heart sinks even more. Ferit, come on. When a woman is angry, just hold her and say sorry. She doesn't want reasons. She wants your attitude. You clueless fool. The next day, Ferit sincerely apologizes to his ex-girlfriend, admitting he shouldn't have listened to others or doubted her. Pelens pretends to have let go, saying it's all in the past now. I've moved on. We should cherish the present. Ferit feels relieved. Taking advantage of his guilt, Pelens suggests that even if they can't be lovers, she hopes they can still be friends. Ferit doesn't refuse, unaware this is only the first step in Pelens' plan. Soon, Pelens seizes the chance to join a project bid at Ferit's company. At first, Ferit tries to keep his distance and opposes her involvement. Pelens puts on a hurt expression and says, I'm an architect, and this project is publicly tendered. Are you implying I'm not qualified just because I'm a woman? Ferit can't bear the accusation of sexism and reluctantly agrees to let her participate, but insists no special treatment will be given. Encouraged, Pelens then proposes that, since she's attending company events, she'd like to visit the graves of Bullet's late parents, her college classmates. At the cemetery, Pelens weeps bitterly, as if truly grieving. Before leaving, she feigns dizziness and instability. Ferit kindly supports her by the arm. As he helps her to the car, he anxiously checks his watch. It turned out that Nasley had invited a food critic to the restaurant today and asked Ferit to join an interview in the afternoon. Knowing this, Pelens pretends she can barely breathe and begs Ferit to walk her a bit longer. Believing she's genuinely unwell, Ferit agrees. Unexpectedly, they get caught in heavy traffic on the way back, causing Ferit to miss the restaurant interview. When Ferit arrives, the critic and reporters have already left. Seeing Nasley kneading dough angrily, he knows how upset she is. He honestly explains the delay and mentions Pelens' job application at his company. Nasley becomes even angrier, accusing him of breaking his promise to attend the interview. No excuse works. Seeing her refusal to talk, Ferit quietly leaves the kitchen to get back to work. But just as one problem settles, another arises. Nasley's younger sister has caused trouble again. Last semester, Asaman splurges on luxury goods and ends up spending this semester's tuition. Nasley scolds her fiercely, demanding she leave immediately and not show her face. Helpless, Asaman contacts an agency and finds a housekeeping job to earn tuition. Little does she know, she's fallen into Haken's trap. In the afternoon, Pelens swaggeringly arrives at the restaurant and tells Nasley that Ferit was late because he was accompanying her to visit a grave. She even brags about their college past, making it sound like Nasley is the unnecessary one. This becomes the last straw that breaks Nasley's spirit. That night, Nasley sits on the restaurant steps, finally letting it all out to her best friend. I've been living for others all along, never really taking care of myself. I'm so tired. I don't want to worry about anyone else anymore. I just want to get away and rest. Her friend hugs her warmly and says, Go ahead, we'll take care of the restaurant for you. When Ferit returns home, he finds a note Nasley left in the kitchen. I'm tired, I'm angry, and need to rest. I'm gone. Panicked, Ferit rushes to Nasley's apartment and asks her friend where Nasley has gone. Her friend, having promised Nasley to keep it secret, doesn't say directly. Still wanting them to reconcile soon, she drops a hint. We all love olive pastries. However, Ferit doesn't understand the hint and wonders why she keeps mentioning olives. He spends the whole night tossing and turning, unable to sleep. Luckily, his ever-resourceful secretary manages to trace Nasley's ticket purchase and calls to tell him. Only then does it finally click. The olive pastry was a hint. Nasley is at the olive grove. At that moment, Nasley is fully immersed in the work, picking olives by hand as a way to ease her mind. A middle-aged woman notices she's run away from home and teasingly asks, Hasn't your husband come to find you yet? Nasley replies that she didn't tell him where she went, but the woman sees right through her and says, If that man truly loves you, I believe he'll find you, no matter what. Nasley, not expecting much, retorts that she wants to forget that man. But just then, Ferit really does show up, driving all the way there. Nasley barely acknowledges him and says she just wants some peace. She climbs an olive tree, throwing olives at Ferit, selling, If you want to go back, go on your own. I'm not going back. Seeing she won't be persuaded, Ferit stays and helps with the work instead. Are you melting from the couple too? Just like these two? In order to make Nasley happy, Farret asks the villagers for an olive seedling and begs her to help him plant it. Nasley, who loves nature, can't refuse. Ferit's little acts of care do work their magic. Nasley's worries and sorrow begin to fade away. As the sun nears the horizon, they wander into a nearby forest to pick mushrooms. Though they fill a big canvas bag with mushrooms, they get lost winding through the woods, and worse, their phones lose signal. Ferit carries the tired Nasley on his back, walking without stopping. Guided by Nasley's sense of direction, they accidentally find an old cabin nearby. It looks like no one lives inside. Since the night is falling fast, Ferit suggests they stay there for the night and continue their journey at dawn. Nasley has no other choice but to agree. To keep the cabin warm, the CEO, whose hands have likely never done a day's manual labor, picks up an axe and starts chopping wood. Seeing Ferit's clumsiness, Nasley chuckles softly as she peels chestnuts. After night falls, Nasley praises Ferit for all his hard work throughout the day. She never thought she'd see the day when someone like him got his hands dirty. It completely changes the way she sees him. In her mind, he was always cold, arrogant, smart, never someone you'd picture hauling olives or swinging an axe. Ferit returns the compliment, saying her strengths could fill an encyclopedia. If he has to pick 3 words to describe her, they'd be determined, resilient, and endlessly curious. They bask in each other's flattering words, their hearts full of happiness and emotion. Seeing Nasley relaxing, Ferit ventures to ask what drove her to run away. The question cracks Nasley's composure. She opens up at last. This whole contract marriage is exhausting. It feels like walking a tightrope. I live in constant fear. What if someone finds out it's all fake? Ferit then asks her if she cares about Pelens. Nasley shoots back. Why would I care about her? I just don't know if you do. I don't know how you feel. Ferit now realizes what she's worried about. He kisses Nasley aggressively to show that this is not a game. You're the only one I love. Pelens, or any other woman, means nothing to me. Instantly, Nasley feels safe and surrenders herself completely to him. They cling to each other like glue, dating every day, and fully immersed in a passionate romance, desperate to make up for the time they lost. It feels like the world shrinks to just the two of them, while everything else fades into the background. Even Ferit, a man obsessed with cleanliness, breaks his long-held rules and brings food to bed, just to make Nasley happy. From that point on, no matter how much Pelens tries to interfere or provoke, they remain unshaken. Nasley even invites Pelens to their home, using Ferit's love as a shield, driving her away. Seeing they can't be torn apart, Pelens gives up and tells Hakan she's quitting. Hakan is furious and can only think of another way to take down Ferit. Yesterday, they were a loving couple inseparable in affection. But today, they're in court, battling over a divorce. And behind it all, the mastermind is once again Hakan. Hakan bribes a man to hire Nasley's sister as a housekeeper in his house for a large sum of money. When Asaman was defenseless, the man planned to violate her innocence. Thankfully, Dennis sensed something was wrong and barged in to rescue Asaman, beating the man up badly. However, Hakan didn't stop there. He ordered the man to continue setting traps for Asaman. The man used the excuse of taking nude photos of Asaman changing clothes at his house as leverage to threaten her into coming alone. Then he proposed a deal. If Asaman accompanied his friends for a while, he would hand over the money and the photos. Asaman felt humiliated. In a fit of anger, she snatched the man's gun and pulled the trigger on him. Seeing the man collapse, Asaman ran away in fear, not knowing it was only a toy gun. Hakan shows Nasley surveillance footage of Asaman firing a gun and uses it to threaten her, demanding that she divorce Ferit. He warns that if she doesn't comply, he'll hand the video over to the police. Asaman would then face at least 10 years in prison. Her life will completely ruined. When Asaman learns of the threat, she feels so guilty. She doesn't want to be a burden to her sister or anyone else, so she goes to the top floor of the construction site, intending to jump. Luckily, Denise arrives in time. He vows to jump with her, which finally convinces her not to go through with it. Nasley breaks down in tears, holding her nearly dead sister. Though reluctant to leave Ferit, she can't bear the thought of losing her own sibling. This pushes Nasley to resolve to divorce Ferit. That evening, Ferit arranges a candlelit dinner with a live band in the garden. He vows to Nasley that he will be a good husband and father, loving her and standing by her side for all his life. Then he presents a dazzling, diamond-studded, pigeon egg-sized ring and formally proposes. What hits him hardest is Nasley's refusal. She gives no explanation, only says she can't do it, then quickly walks away evasively. Ferit is utterly confused. Soon, Nazli files for divorce from Ferit, citing irreconcilable differences. However, the judge rejects the claim, ruling the reason insufficient. The judge decides they need mediation to improve communication. In front of the mediator, Ferit feels lost and frustrated by the sudden divorce request. He knows that Nazli is hiding something from him, but she won't talk about it, leaving him helpless. Ferit refuses to divorce, while Nazli insists on it without giving a clear reason. The two argue fiercely in front of the mediator. The shouting only stops when Ferit's phone suddenly rings. It turns out Haken plans to regain custody of Bulut during their ongoing divorce case. Their lawyer warns Ferit that if they divorce, he stands little chance of winning custody. Ferit flies into a rage, but it doesn't change Nazli's mind about the divorce. Feeling defeated, he tells Nazli, "If Haken takes Bulut away, I will never forgive you." Coincidentally, little Bulut overhears everything. For the sake of the family's unity and happiness, Bulut takes action. While Grandma and Farret are talking, Bulut quietly grabs Ferit's wallet and sneaks out of the villa. It isn't until an hour later that Ferit finds out that Bulut is gone. He hurriedly calls Nazli and asks her to help him look for the boy. Nazli jumps out of bed in a panic, but just as she opens the door, Bulut arrives with a big smile. Relieved, Nazli asks why he ran off. "It's dangerous out there." Bulut proudly explains, "Uncle Ferit and the driver have brought me to your house twice. I know my way, I'm not scared." Ferit soon arrives at Nazli's house after receiving the news. He wants to take Bulut home, but Bulut sits in Nazli's arms and says, "I'm not going back until you two make up." Seeing he can't out-stubborn Bulut, Ferit has no choice but to stay for now. While the three of them are sitting on the sofa watching a movie, Bulut deliberately puts their hands together again, hoping that they'll be as in love as before. Thanks to this little stunt, Asaman finally finds a chance to talk privately with Ferit. She reveals the real reason Nazli wants a divorce. Ferit finally understands Nazli's pain and clears up his misunderstandings. Nasley admits she didn't want to burden him and wanted to handle her problems alone. Ferit pleads with her not to carry everything by herself. He respects her independence, but reminds her he is her husband, willing to face challenges together. They agree to never keep secrets from each other again. The happiest thing in the world is waking up and seeing the person you love right beside you. The three of them squeeze onto a tiny bed, yet it's filled with immense sweetness and warmth. Bulut is overjoyed to see his guardians reconciled. He proudly declares how much he loves his home, full of love and comfort. Meanwhile, at Dennis's apartment, Asaman accidentally finds a voice recorder. They play it back and hear Haken's own voice confessing every detail of how he killed Bulut's parents. This discovery is thanks to Demet. Terrified after constant threats from Haken, she decided to gather evidence against him. She deliberately lured Haken into talking about the car accident and secretly recorded everything. A few days earlier, Demet found an excuse to meet her brother. While he went out to buy something, Demet hid the voice recorder under Dennis's desk to prevent Haken from finding and destroying it. After listening to the recording, Dennis angrily storms into his sister's office. He accuses her of being an accomplice who caused his brother and sister-in-law's deaths. Demet is devastated and tells him about the threats she has received and the fact that she has been framed for the killings. Furious, Dennis storms out, saying he's going to the police. Unbeknownst to them, Haken overhears the entire conversation outside the door. Dennis then tells Ferit everything. Ferit urges him to go to the police while he contacts Nasley. However, at that very moment, Hakan breaks into the villa and corners Nasley. He knows his crimes are about to be exposed, and that he may not make it out alive. But that doesn't matter to him. He now just wants Ferit to feel the pain of losing the one he loves most. Just as Haken is about to pull the trigger, Nazli's phone suddenly rings. It's a call from Ferit. Haken warns her not to say anything suspicious. Nasley answers and deliberately says, "Bulut is being so good. He's watching Snow White right now." Ferit freezes. He instantly realizes something is wrong, because Bulut never watches fairy tale movies. But just as Ferit arrives, what Haken plans as a single kill nearly turns into a triple tragedy. He accuses Ferit's father of murdering his own father and blames Ferit's mother for covering it up. As he raises the gun to shoot all three of them, a loud shout from the security guard outside the window distracts him. Seizing the moment, Ferit lunges forward. He wrestles the gun from Hakan's hands and knocks him to the ground with a fierce punch. Fueled by rage, Ferit nearly pulls the trigger himself, but Nasley steps in, begging him not to become a killer. Justice always catches up in the end. The wicked may run, but they can't hide forever. Within minutes, the police arrive and handcuff Hakan, dragging him away. A minute later, officers show up at Dennis's home and arrest Emmett as well. Now, with all threats behind them, nothing stands in the way of Ferit and Nasley's love, and their dream of building a peaceful, happy home together. Time flies, and the new year arrives right on cue. Ferit and Nasley welcome their first New Year's Eve together as husband and wife. At the party, Nasley tells Ferit that her wish is to see snowfall. Ferit, in turn, wishes for a big, happy family. And they're not the only ones who've found love and companionship. The driver and Nasley's best friend announce their impending marriage. Ferit's cousin is now with the Japanese teacher, and Dennis has fallen for the lively and sweet Asaman. Everyone has found someone to love, a place to belong, and a reason to smile. It's the kind of ending that feels more like a new beginning. As the clock strikes midnight, Ferit and Nasley go to their familiar rooftop. Ferit takes out 3 plane tickets. He plans to take Nasley and Bulu to see the Northern Lights. But Nasley shares something even more exciting. She's pregnant, so Ferit's wish for a big family is about to come true. Yet Nasley isn't the only one bringing surprises. The ever-romantic Ferit has also prepared a special gift for her. There may be no snow in Turkey for the new year, so Ferit makes it snow himself, creating a magical snowfall just for her. They hold each other close, dreaming of all the wishes they still hope to fulfill together. As fireworks light up the night sky, can you feel this fleeting moment of happiness too? In a world full of chaos and chance, they found love, peace, and home in each other. Perhaps this is what we all hope for, not perfection, but someone to share the ordinary with, together. This is Maroon Recap. Check out my homepage, and you'll see more recaps of Full Moon. I'm hastening to write and edit the next recap, so feel free to leave a comment and share your thoughts. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel.